Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel and to the build of the Hurricane, the Guillows Hurricane, and the conversion to RC. Now what I've been doing, I've been working a little bit offline already. I've put in some of the stringers already to give it some strength, and I've also started to build up the battery hatch. Now the battery hatch, I built up the top formers, like the one ahead and the one behind, and I've put it in place, and then once I have it completely built up, I'll cut off this top spar to have that hatch, and hopefully it'll fit. It's a bit flimsy because I still need to make gaps for the cables and for the batteries and things like that, so it's a bit flimsy, but I hope that with a bit of shaping it gets in place. What I have to consider here also is that I can't put in this, which is one of the main stringers, the side string. I can't put it in until I have the servo connected for the aileron, so that is going to stay out for the moment, and let's see if I can put it in during the chapter. Now for the servo, what I need to do, I need to build it into the wing. So I want to put it as much forward as I can, so that there's a better angle then to connect to the ailerons. So if it's somewhere here, then I can connect to the ailerons. The challenge is that somewhere in here also the battery is going to have to go in, so I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go, so I might need to put it further back. I have to figure that out somehow, and that's going to be then the adjustment for that. Once that's in place, then I'll be able to do the connection, basically putting both parts together and making the adjustments needed. There's some minimal adjustments that I think are going to be needed to make sure that it fits together and that it sits together well. So that's I looked some of the working with wood, which I like. I do enjoy that part, and then with the servo to figure out how it goes. Another thing I would like to do is also the landing gear. The landing gear goes apparently in here, which I hadn't actually counted on, so I didn't leave these gaps maybe wide enough, so I'm going to have to build it up. Now the landing gear, it's not going to be a flying landing gear, it's just going to be for show. But with the Spitfire I did not put it in, and then I kind of regretted it because it just lies around on its belly. And what I would like to is then when it's, let's say, on the ground, which is most of its time, right, that at least it's standing proud and not just awkwardly sitting on top of a cupboard. That at least it has some presence and some I don't know how to call it, some worthiness also when it's standing on the ground. So those are the steps that I need to do. What I'm doing also with the forward stringers, I'm trying to leave them a bit long at least, and I can always cut them down, right, to make sure that I have something on which the cowling will hold, because the cowling is quite, let's say, precisely built. So hopefully something that will actually hold them, or maybe at some point putting a spot of glue or plastiline or something that will hold it. So that's also a consideration I have. So as I say, like some building of the stringers, which is fun. I look forward to that, servo adaptation, and then eventually the full assembly. So it'll be a skeleton, but it'll be hopefully full assembled by the end of this video. Time for a short update on what I've been up to. I've started to do the undercarriage, which I have it here, the undercarriage, and I've prepared the holes there for the undercarriage, still not completely finished, and I'm using the wheels from the kit. That's the wheel. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm trying to build it as I did one with the Spitfire also, in which the wire actually is bent inside the wheel. Then I have to get it in there, and then basically it won't stick out, so it'll be a nice clean setup. It's not going to be a functional landing gear because I'm going to be taking it off for flying. It's going to be too weak, but I think it'll look good if I paint it a little bit. And this, I believe, is then the right landing gear that will go in there. I think this one does go in, and let's hope it does without breaking it now. Yeah, kind of like that. Then the other half of the wheel will go there, and then the left one is currently drying. I have it here, and I'm drying the wire inside. So that's about the landing gear in the wing. Then another part that I've been doing, I've been putting in the more stringers onto the fuselage, which looks good, and more importantly, I've already cut out the hatch for the battery. Here it is. I almost cut through the wire. I was sawing through it with a small saw, and I think I even nicked it a little bit, but I hope it's okay. And this will be then the battery hatch. I'm not sure if I'm going to put on some magnets or not. Maybe it holds on its own, let's see. So that's then the battery hatch, and hopefully it's going to be resistant enough. I was doubting, and I went ahead with it with cutting this former here, which actually gives quite a lot of rigidity, so I'm hoping that even if it's cut, the fuselage will still be strong enough. My worry is that most of the crashes will probably be with the nose, and this could actually split the fuselage, which would be very awkward to repair. But anyhow, I've done that, and I've put in the little the servo. It's not glued in. I still have to figure out exactly how it's where it's going to go. But basically for that I decided to go with a recommendation from Richard, so thank you Richard for that. So I'm not putting in the servo in the middle as I did with the Spitfire. I'm putting it on one side, so it's going to be a little bit to one side. As Richard says, it probably won't have much of an impact on the performance in any way, so I was happy to do that. Let's see if I can squeeze it in, that you see how it's going to sit. Kind of going to sit there a little bit. It's got to stick out a little bit more still, so I've got to figure out how to glue it actually, but that's kind of the position it's going to go there. Then it will have the control horn there, which will link to the ailerons. I wanted it as far forward as possible so that there's better angle for the movement of the ailerons, but without colliding with the battery hatch too much. That's why I've got the servo on one side and then the battery will go in the other side. That's the plan. Now before I glue that, what I want to do is, well, fix the position of where it's going to be, and then also plug it into the ESC. It's got to go in here into this plug, I hope. Yeah, it's 3 pins, yeah, so it's going to be on this side. Plug it in, make sure it works. So then I'll do also another connection, make sure that that the servo is also working, and then once that is set, then I'll go ahead with the mating of the wing and the fuselage, which is going to be challenging itself because it fits, but it's very very tight, so it might shift a little bit, so I'm going to have to glue it probably and hold it for a while. So I'll probably look for some interesting video to watch while I hold it and wait for the glue to set. So that's going to be then the next steps, and then still to put in the main spars on the side, and then the other components. So it's progressing, it's coming along. Complicated part again, a lot of very detailed cuts. I don't think you can see them, but I had to cut this piece. This piece is kind of like 0.5 millimeter wide now. I wanted to try to keep it complete so it gives a bit more strength to the fuselage, to the wing in this case. So a lot of different adaptations there. So, but progress, which is good. So let's see what the next steps. So I finished putting all the stringers on the rear part of the fuselage. I still have to do the ones under the nose. Those are just, I think, 3 left. That's easy. But maybe the biggest progress is that I've managed to bend and put in the rod for the elevator. It took me a long time, like really, to have it there in place, bend it back, put it on, take it off, things like that. So surprisingly complicated to do it, but I thought it would be relatively simple. I don't know if you can see it, but it's somehow still kind of like pointing down, which will mean I'm kind of expecting or hoping that instead of putting maybe some nose weight, maybe I'll just compensate that lack of nose weight with the elevator. I have this kind of bend. I've put in this bend that also the other models have to use as a trim, but complicated to do. So then the next steps are going to be to do the same thing with the rudder. So the tail fin and the rudder, like that's what I want to do, and it'll go somehow like this, and then I just have to prepare like also the horn. I've got the horn in here, I think you can see it. It's a white horn. I put it in with some super glue and I hope it holds. It's one of these very flat horns. Again, I don't know if you can see it, it's one of these. So I'm going to do that also with the rudder. And then the next step is to hinge the ailerons. Again, I'm going to try to use the tip from Cliff to use some fishing wire, fishing string, I don't know what it's called now, to put it in there. And then I'm also going to need to connect then the rods that are going to go from the server than to the aileron. So that's still quite a bit to go there, and then some more details like the tail assembly, a protecting wire that I want to put over here, and the nose assembly and things like that. So still some steps to go, and as I said, like this, more complicated than I expected, but it's starting to look like an airplane with a tail and everything, so happy about that. And let me share the progress. So I think you've seen the elevator already with the horn and the rudder. I've glued these in with super glue, so I hope they hold, but I'm not too comfortable with it. It's really, I have the feeling it will break, and if it breaks in mid-air, that can only spell disaster, especially the elevator. What else have I done? I've put in a tail hook. I don't know if you can see it here, tail hook. There is a wheel that actually goes in there, like a wooden wheel, but I prefer to put the tail hook because I know that tail wheel will not hold much. I might put it in as decoration, but I prefer to have the hook there to protect it and to let it somehow stand properly. And more importantly, I've put in then the ailerons. Again, I've used the thread, the fishing thread or the fishing line to glue it in. I've put in 3 on each, coinciding with the ribs. And now I can't move them because I've also put in the control rods in there, but they seem to have quite a nice throw. So I'm kind of liking this idea of using the fishing line as a hinge. And more importantly, or as importantly maybe, I've put in the rods that will be controlled by the central servo, and that will control then the ailerons, right? So I've put in this design again that I hope will help me trim as needed. My only worry is that when I do these trimmings with these things, that what if when I do it I break the whole thing because the pliers maybe slip or something like that, but at least some kind of control on that is good to have. So what I want to do now, before I do the final assembly and I glue the stabilizer and the tail fin, I want to link up the battery and the radio master to make sure that the ailerons are actually turning in the right direction. So let's see. Okay, battery's in, not peeping. It didn't peep. Let me try it again. Now something is happening now. Okay, didn't peep, but I hear the gyro is doing something. So let's see the elevator. Not much of a throw, don't know if you can see, but the elevator rod is moving. Then the rudder, let's see how that moves. Also a little bit, again not much. I'm moving crooked, I'm not sure what I did there. And then let's see the elevator. So maybe I'll put it like this so that I can get the guidance, at least for myself. So this is the ailerons, I mean. So right aileron, a little bit of movement, but not really very much. Not much. Let's see if I can. I've turned the gyro stabilization off. Let's see if I can figure out why the ailerons aren't moving so well. Like the direction, I think is correct, right? So if I left, it's supposed to be okay, but I think the angle isn't working well. Or maybe the control rod is not. Yeah, it's. I think I know what I did wrong. I've connected the rods in here into this hole, and I need to connect them in there. So I might even have measured it wrong. So if you bear with me briefly, let's see if I can change it. So there it is now. Yes, now it's, the rods are too short because I measured it with the wrong position. You see, I don't know if you can see, the ailerons are now full down, kind of like flaps even. But let's see if actually the direction is good. So we turn right, yes, so the direction is good. What I'm going to need now is to make use of these loops that I built in and stretch them out significantly so that is straight out. But overall the concept is working, so I'm happy about it. So let me fix that and glue on the tail surfaces, and then it'll be ready for the next step. So I'll be right back. And here we are. So I've corrected the push rods for the ailerons, and I hope that's okay. I've put on the landing gear. I need maybe to fix it up still a little bit more, but then it stands well. I already showed you the tail hook, I believe, and the rudder is on. I've only got 2 hinges on it, just here on the fin to the rudder. I would like to put one also connecting to the fuselage, but I haven't managed to do that yet, so I'm not sure how to do it. I have made a hole in the rudder. I would need to make a hole in there, but I want to try it. Let's see if it works well enough. And basically with this, the structure is pretty much done. What I want to do now is I want to test the rudder. Let's see how much the throw is and the elevator. So I'll take the battery off, and I've also got somewhere, I thought I had a propeller. Yes, I have a propeller that I also want to try. So let's put the propeller on, kind of a run up. Maybe I'll put the cowling on, right? And it'll look also a bit like the real thing. I still have to figure out how I'll put it. Maybe some either a spot of glue or maybe a magnet. Let's see how it goes. And also then for the battery hatch, I probably need some kind of magnet. I was hoping I wouldn't need anything, but I tried to put the battery in there with the hatch and it sticks up a bit. So I probably still need to do some kind of fixing there, but I'll do that. And let's see how this goes. Plug it in, plug in it. Okay. Somehow they've moved, but I don't know if I have the servo configuration on or not. Yeah, not connecting. Somehow it's giving problems with this connection, right? So maybe it thinks it's upside down. Maybe it thinks it's upside down. Let's try it again. No, not connecting. Not sure why. Maybe another battery, maybe the battery is depleted. Is that possible? Let's see. Okay, so maybe it was the battery that seems to be. Okay, so yes, so the elevator, I don't know if you can see it, it's pointing really downwards a lot. So I probably need to fix that trim because it's really pointing downwards, or maybe correct also the position of the control horn. So elevator needs fixing. Let's see the rudder if it moves. Yes, the rudder actually seems okay. Quite happy with it. I'm going to need the rudder for sure, so the elevator needs to be corrected. And let's see how the ailerons behave. They do move, they are quite big, so I'm also hoping that they'll have enough. So for the moment the rudder needs to be fixed, and let's see if I get, yeah, I also get the propeller to move. So still some trimming on the elevator, but in overall that's it. So thank you everybody for following along on this one, on this assembly. It is a little bit complicated, but as always that's part of the point. And I'll see you next time.